Radhe Radhe everybody. Hope you're all doing well. It has been a long time. How are you all? Hope your Gita study is going very well. I just wanted to quickly check in and read two verses with you today. Check in first about the scripture writing process. So I had a very long trip to India this summer, and I had to painstakingly go back and get caught up for 2 months, June and July. At first I thought I'll just skip the months, but then it didn't feel right for me, so I went back and I completed June, an entire July, and I now am caught up with August with today's date. So just look back at what was done when we started. We started on the 1st of February 2024 with the completion of 15th chapter, which was today. I have written 570 verses. This could be approximate, but 570 verses. Gita has 700 verses. I have 120 approximate days more for this year. So by January of 2026, with Lord's grace, I would be completing this book, all 700 shlokas. Now when I think of, it's just August, but still I'm thinking of next year's plans and things like that. So once I complete this book, which I'm expecting, I even counted the pages and whatnot, because I write close to 3 shlokas per page, I think I should be completely done with this book. I don't have to take another book to complete all the 700. So this will be one full book. I did one round in 2020, which I completed in 2022. But in 2020, I didn't begin in the beginning of the year. I began in August. So it almost took, I think, end of 2022 is when I finished. And this one is 2024. This is my second round. With God's grace, if I finish it, or once I finish it, what are the plans for next year? So this is the second attempt with the same thing for me. I only wrote from this book previously in 2022, and that's why you'll see all these circles. That means I've written them. It was my first attempt. With the second attempt, I repeated the same thing with the same version, but my third scripture writing attempt would be different. What I'm going to do next year is, it may take more time, but I don't mind. What I'm going to do next year is, I would want to take a version of Gita which has the word by word meaning in English and transliteration of those Sanskrit words. So most probably I'd be using this one for next year's writing. What I'd do is, I'd write the English transliteration of the Sanskrit shloka and write all the word by word meanings too. I won't write the meaning because I've written the meaning twice. So this time it's going to be word by word and the shloka itself. In 2026, I want to do another round of this. I actually very much enjoy doing this. If we keep up and catch up with days that we have not gotten to, somehow get caught up and somehow make it a habit and a practice to write shlokas. The last 2 months was different from other months. I usually get backed up only 1 or 2 shlokas at a time, but June and July I had some health setbacks, a minor surgical procedure and stuff like that, so I just couldn't write at all. But then I came back and got caught up. So once you do this for one full year, the satisfaction is one thing. Not one full year, but 2 years. It takes close to 2 years. So the satisfaction is one thing, but it changes you. Things do stick. Things do stick. Sometimes you don't know the exact shloka, but you'll know that the theme was somewhere in Gita. You know, somewhere you'll think, oh, this was about food and sleep. Oh, okay. Somewhere it has been said that a person who sleeps too much or too little, person who eats too much or too little is not fit to be a yogi. Somewhere I've read that. So certain things stick with you. Certain things you stop at while writing. So one or two things definitely stick with you. There's immense value in doing this exercise, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm going to continue doing it. I took a break after 2022 for an entire year and started this in 2024, but I want to make this a continuous effort in various ways so that the words stick with me this time, the shloka itself sticks with me this time, and things like that. So that's my plan for next attempt at scripture writing. And we are going to look at the third chapter, two slokas. I'm reading from Chinmayananda. I cannot get enough of this book because I really like the size and the fact that each chapter is a booklet, except of course I think 1 and 2 and then one more, 14 and 12, 14 and 13, something like that, 2 chapters together, but all other things are just one book, and it's just so convenient to carry, and it's also extremely easy and pleasant to read. We are going to read 38 and 39. धूमेनाव्रियते वह्निर्यथादर्शो मलेन च यथोल्बेनावृतो गर्भस्तथा तेन दमावृतम्. So, dhumena, by smoke, avriyate is enveloped, vahni is fire, yatha as, adarshaha a mirror, malena by dust, cha and yatha as, ulbena by the womb, avrutaha enveloped, garbha embryo, tatha so tena tene dama avrutam, tena by it, idam this, avrutam enveloped. As fire is enveloped by smoke, as a mirror by dust, as an embryo by the womb, so this wisdom or intellect is enveloped by that desire or anger. The context is Bhagwan was speaking about Rajoguna, and because of Rajoguna, the desire and the anger that comes with Rajoguna. So, 3 different examples have been given to illustrate how desires and consequent anger delude our rational capacity and choke our discrimination. Repetition is an unpardonable crime against the scriptural cycle, and the Gita faithfully follows the immortal style common to all Bibles of the world. There is no redundancy or wasteful repetition in the divine song. With this understanding, when we try to read the stanza, we find that there are subtle implications in 3 different illustrations used by the Lord. More is meant here than meets the eye. The discrimination in man is screened off and obstructed in its exercise due to the attachment in his mind for the ever-changing worldly objects. We all know that our attachments to things can fall under 3 distinct categories. Our desires can either be low and vicious, the mind craving for carnal pleasures of the flesh, or our ambitions may be for an active exertion in order to achieve power and wealth, to gain strength and might, to win fame and glory. There can also be a burning aspiration to strive and to achieve a diviner perfection. And godly self-elimination. Thus, our desires can fall under three headings: to the quality of attachment, inert, tamasika, or active, rajasika, or noble and divine, satvika. The feelings that are created over a discrimination by these different types of qualities are indicated here by the three different examples. As fire by smoke. A smoky fireplace shrouded by dark curling smoke can sometimes, if not totally, at least partially veil the brilliance of the light emitted by the flames. A wick without a chimney is less bright than with the chimney, proving the example under review. Even Satvika desires veil the infinite glory of the spirit. As dust on a mirror, this illustrates the veiling caused by agitations that cover the purer intellect due to a thick desire for glory and power. Rajasika. Compared with the former, this is indeed more complete and the removal of it is naturally more difficult. The smoke rolls off even at passing whiff of breeze, while the mirror cannot be cleaned even by a storm. It can be polished only by our own efforts by dusting it, clean it with the help of a clean dry duster. Through the smoke, however thick it might be, fire can be perceived through the dust. If it be thick, no reflection at all can be seen in the mirror. If at all seen, it will only be dim. As the embryo in the womb, this is an illustration to show how completely the diviner aspect in us is screened off by the low animal appetites and the vulgar desires for the sensuous. The embryo is covered by the womb until it matures, and there is no method of observing it as long as it is in the womb. The veiling is complete and it can drop off only after a definite period. Similarly, the desires for the carnal flesh enjoyments build, as it were, a womb around the discriminative power in us. And such low mental preoccupations, tamasika, can drop off only after a longer period of evolutionary growth undergone by such a deluded mind and intellect. In the true scriptural style, Krishna thus distinguishes between the different textures and the veils that come to cover the soul, when the individual is entertaining different types of desires. In short, the desire is that which hides the divine in us. We are reminded of Swami Ramatirtha's mathematical equation, which summarizes the philosophical theory propounded in these stanzas. So, this shloka gives three types of gunas and the desires. In the previous verse, Kamesha Krodesha, it was about Rajoguna Samudbhava. It was just Rajasic tendencies that was concentrated upon. Here, Bhagwan goes on to give three types of gunas and the attachments and desires associated with it. In any case, for spiritual illumination, Satvika tendencies or satvika characteristics in our body mind is preferable. And when I was thinking about it and writing some notes about it, I was thinking, okay, what about rajasa, what about tamas, and what about satvika? Sattva is very conducive for spiritual illumination, that is clear. But rajasika tendencies or rajas, it seems to be the most dangerous one, at least when I look at it from my perspective. Tamasika is most dangerous, of course, for various reasons, but sometimes getting stuck in rajas is something that's possible, because it's a cyclical pattern. If rajas takes you back to things, rajas is more mind oriented. It's distinctly characterized by absurd, like bouts of anger and strong desire and too much of passion. So rajas seems to be the most dangerous one, at least in the terms of keeping someone stuck in that for a long time, in my opinion. But here God has but wherever we are, that's our contemplation point. We know our configuration of satvika, tamasika and rajasika tendencies. Different people in different times of their life or different phases of life have different configuration of this. The effort always is to increase sattva, which will be easier. So the three kinds of avaranas, that's why it says avratam. Avarana is something that's enveloped. So what is closing our buddhi or intellect is characterized by these three things that God gives as example. One is as fire by smoke, as dust on mirror, and then as the embryo in the womb. This being the thickest, the embryo in the womb being the thickest, darkest mode of ignorance is tamasika. So the effort is always to increase our sattva in our body mind. Different types of things can be done, food, the input we give to our mind seems to be the most important thing now. Food is important. This is also important, especially with our availability of so many things in social media. It's becoming increasingly difficult to give the mind a diet, strict sattvic diet. I would so much go. I would say that even giving sattvic food to your body is easy now, with the growth of so many people going vegan and whatnot. Everybody seems to understand the food concept of it. The heavier your food, there's so much baggage in the food. It's going to weigh down your mind. This is something that's easier for us to embrace. But when it comes to diet to the mind, through information that we take in, it's all over the place, and much of it is rajasic in this world, in Kali Yuga. So one has to exercise so much caution and discernment to only take steady sattvic diet when it comes to our body mind, and that the more sattvic we are, the better it is going to be for our internal climate, and the internal climate determines how we go about with our spiritual illumination. 39 in the stanza, it is not clearly stated which covers what. The literal translation of the words as they stand in this couplet only says, so is this covered by it. The two pronouns it and this are defined in the following stanza, and therein we find an explanation of both. Avritam jnana metena jnanino nitya vairina kama rupena kaunteya dushpurena alena cha. Avritam enveloped, jnanam wisdom, etena by this, jnaninaha of the wise, nitya vairina by this constant enemy, Kamarupena, whose form is desire, Kaunteya, also son of Kunti, Dushpurena, unappeasable, Analena, by fire, Cha, and. Enveloped, O son of Kunti, is wisdom by this constant enemy of the wise in the form of desire, which is difficult to appease as the fire. This stanza vividly explains to us that discrimination, jnana, the capacity to distinguish between the real from the unreal, the permanent from impermanent, the true from the false, which gives man his highest status in the scale of evolution, is the divine faculty that gets screened off from us due to our own greedy, insatiable desires. The pronouns in the previous stanza now stand clearly elucidated. The discriminative capacity in us, this idam, gets screened off by the insatiable desires. And I think that theme is common from the Kama Esha, Krodha Esha, the previous verse from which this whole discussion is proceeding. Kama Esha. So everything is stemming from desire. So that is made strong here in the 39th verse, saying that the constant enemy of the wise in the form of desire. Desire is the only enemy, and it does not get appeased. It's almost as if the more desire you go to fulfill, the more you get more desires that sprout up. So it's absolutely unappeasable. So that concludes the 39th verse, and I enjoyed the simplicity of the commentary here, and I may take notes later from here. This I mean, if I've talked about this version many times in this channel, but if you get your hands on Swami Chinmayananda, it's a good book to have, especially because it has simpler, shorter explanations. Some verses have long explanations, but mostly it's all short, and you have booklet kind of a thing. Whenever I travel, I prefer this because whatever chapter I'm concentrated on, that's the only one I'm carrying, so it's easy to carry. I hope you enjoyed this discussion and reading of Bhagavad Gita. I hope you're all writing the Gita, whoever joined me in that scripture writing thing. I hope you're all writing it. I am so sorry I couldn't post my themes for the last 2 months because of all the personal things I have going on. I'll resume posting themes again, and we can select some verses from the theme and do a deep dive and things like that. And I pray that Lord Sri Hari helps us with our Gita study and takes us forward. Until I meet you all next time, Radhe Radhe.